For more on the talks extension, I'm joined by Mohsen Milani. He's the executive director of the Center of Strategic and Diplomatic Studies. He's also a politics professor at the University of South Florida. Welcome to the show, Professor. Good to have you on. Let me start with this. What does the delay mean in terms of sanctions, or more sanctions, I should say, coming from the U.S.?
The delay simply means the extension of the deadline, simply means that the group of 5+1 and Iran have both agreed that substantial progress have been made, and it is in the interest of both sides to continue the negotiations. And I believe they are correct. Substantial gains have been made. I think we are on the right trajectory, and I believe that within the next few months, we are likely to have a final nuclear agreement that would curb Iranian nuclear activities and hopefully will lift the crippling sanctions imposed on Iran by the international community and by the US and the European Union.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster. At one point, we were more optimistic, expecting a deal, and then at one point over the weekend, we thought maybe a deal wasn't possible, and then that gets us to today, where we now reached some sort of compromise that it's going to be a delay. What do you think the key sticking point was?
Well, I think, first of all, we should not have expected these negotiations to bear fruit that quickly. Iran and the Western countries have been negotiating over Iran's nuclear program for the past 10 years. And now the United States have also joined in having direct negotiations with Iran. So these negotiations are extremely complex, complicated, and we should not have expected a breakthrough. Having said that, though, I believe the sticking points are Iranian enrichment activities. How many centrifuges must Iran be allowed to have? What quality of centrifuges Iran must have? What will happen to the two important nuclear facilities in Iran, Fordo, which is a fortified nuclear facility, as well as Natanz? And also, the United States and the group of 5+1 would like to prolong the breakout capacity for Iran. That is the time that would take Iran to build the bomb, should Iran build the bomb. On the side of Iran, Iranians want the sanctions to be removed, to be lifted, and lifted immediately so that there can be an improvement in the Iranian economic situation.
Well, that brings up an interesting political point, because we've had a number of guests come on the show to say that if you want those sanctions lifted, that's going to take some work from Congress. And as you know, we're in a bit of a transition period here in Washington, D.C. Might that potentially help get a closer deal done if that's delayed until the middle of next year?
Well, some of these sanctions require congressional approval, but some of them do not and can be dealt with through executive order by President Obama. The two most important sanctions are the sanctions imposed on Iranian oil and gas industry, and the one imposed on Iranian banking system. I believe President Obama, through executive order, can really help those sanctions, remove them. And these sanctions are the key area of concern for the Islamic Republic of Iran.
I mean, in a sense, there's been a lot of talk about the Iranian economy, trying to stimulate that moving forward into the next couple of years. If these sanctions were to be lifted, what would that mean to the overall economy? And obviously it would be very good, but do we have any numbers?
No, at least I haven't seen any credible number. What we do know, that if these sanctions are lifted, a large number of European companies, and probably Chinese company, Japanese company, will flood the Iranian market. Keep in mind that the Iranian oil industry and Iranian gas industry is in desperate need of investment. Iran has the second largest natural gas reserves in the world, and a lot of European, American, Chinese companies can help Iran with its oil and gas industry. And also, in terms of Iranian market, Iran has the second largest population in all of the Middle East, with 80 million people, with a very vibrant and well-to-do middle class. And that can also attract European investment. So I suspect if the sanctions are lifted, we are going to see an immediate improvement in the economic condition in Iran.
All right. Mohsen Milani, professor at the University of South Florida, thank you very much for your time helping us break down this delay in talks.